Hey guys, welcome on back to the AnKorage where everything is awesome. And my last video I did an honest review of the 2-in-the-box PKE meter from HasLab, part of Hasbro Pulse. And in this one here I'm going to be doing an honest review regarding the ghost trap. However, I do need to take a brief moment. It would be like nothing for you, but for me I need to take a brief moment and kind of get things set up. I might be using my wide angle lens so I can get more of the view of the coffee table here. But yeah, we're going to do that. And that is this edition of Buster Quest. Okay, so we've got my table. I brought it back closer to the couch so that I can sit a little easier. So there we go. I've got my wide-angle lens on the camera to just give us a little more space. It reaches out about, let me see, here's about here, and here's about here. So I've got about 18 or so inches to work with, so that's better than when I don't have it on. But with me using the wide-angle lens, I can't use my remote, so no big deal. I just reach over and grab it. Anyways, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start off with the easy thing, which is the cable. Here's the cable here. It's about 3 meters long, 9 feet. And it has a nice rubberized piece here, and this is a cable wrap, and it's rubberized, so it comes off very easily. It just pops right off, and this can be reused, so don't throw that away. You can reuse it to bind this up and stuff like that. When putting it back on, it's a little tough, but just work it for a minute, and it's just fine. You just got to stretch it out. That's all. And the cable material itself is really good. It's very strong, and it also allows you to hold the trap up. Will I demonstrate that? Maybe, I don't know. If I think of it, I will. Now, these connectors, these are aviation cable connectors. They are a 3-pin, so you've got your power, you've got a signal, and one other thing which I forget. And then it's got a nice collar piece that used to screw on here. Now, this is what we did not get with the proton packs. Instead, they manufactured a plastic one, which some people complained about. I didn't, because everything works fine, and there we are. But we've got it on here. This is good. This is for connecting the pedal to the trap, and I'll demonstrate that later on. But why don't we move that off to the side, and we'll actually bring the actual pedal in here. And here it is. So, like that. This is the view that you would get, that you would see when you're actually using it. If you're busting a ghost and you're about to trap it, you'd want this so you could step on this. This will send a signal to the trap to open up, and then you step on it again to shut it. So that's the function of this. As we've got here, this is all completely plastic. The entire thing, with the exception of this plate right here. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But we've got, let's see. Actually, I've got my keys right here, because I want to test this. Is this here plastic? Yes, that's plastic. That's plastic. That's plastic. Obviously, that's plastic. It's not glass. This is the relay, and it's plastic. And then the base of it, like that. Everything is plastic. Except for the screw right here, of course. This yellow and red cable, this is faux cable, fake cable. And I think these screws are even plastic. Yep, those are plastic. And we flip it over, and you've got these little rubber feet And these ones are actually double as like screw caps, and you got screws here, 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 and there. So for any makers and stuff like that, to get this base off, you got to do those screws, boom, 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 and those two there. With these, it's easier if you take some masking tape and you just wrap it around there, and then you can just twist them off, and they pop off. But this entire thing is plastic, and there's a 1/4 mounting hole right up at the top here, where you can mount them on a tripod or a similar thing. I don't see the point of it, but whatever. It's there should you want to use it. And so I'll turn it this way. One of the most notable features is this. This is the relay. And this is based off of an actual relay. These do exist. This one here that Hasbro manufactured, these are absolutely fake. But there's real metal used inside. And I can see a spring. There's some plates. What looks to be like a servo. Things of that sort. Someone I saw in a video already replaced this with the real equivalent of it. And I don't see any point on why bothering. If you've got something here that's 100% duplicate, why do it? Why put on a real one? It's just, I don't know. It's not me, but in either sense. And then we've got this plate in the front here. This is so that this relay can be moved from this spot to that spot. The orientation that it's in right now is for Ghostbusters 1984. So, and then what we would want to do is if we wanted Afterlife, this would actually get repositioned here. I don't have a screwdriver with me, otherwise I'd go ahead and demonstrate that. But it would actually make it, in line, which would make seeing someone's foot a little easier. So there we go. But, like I said, this is all plastic. There's no metal housing on here, so makers out there on Etsy and who knew who's you what's it's and stuff like that, GB fans, who knows, they might decide to make some metal parts for this, namely so that people can stomp on it. Hasbro has said a number of times, you don't want to go stomping on this. And Jason over at Ghostbusters News also says, if you stomp on it, you're going to have a bad time. Because it's plastic. If you stomp on it, you can very well break it. So, if you're going to use your foot on this thing, you want to be gentle and just lightly step on it. Stuff like that. Otherwise, just, use your hand. So, there you go. So, this is the pedal. So, there we are. So, I'll put this off to the side. And now, before we get to the trap, it came with a stand. And this is the stand right here. It's very nicely designed, very rigid plastic. It's got a V-hook receiver here, and it's got these two little spring bumper thingies here. For the style, I don't know, whatever. But these track pieces, these can be removed because there's screws here and here. Are they metal? Yes, they're metal. And of course the receiver piece here for the V-hook, and I'll show you that the actual piece that's on the trap. But this is to allow the trap to be secured to this, especially if you're going to have it standing on end. So there we are. But it's to make sure that it's secured to the base, and won't just fall off or roll off or anything. It has these 4 recessed wheel hole things, divots. So that would actually help in assisting holding the trap in place. So, and it's completely black plastic, a little bit of weathering on it, a little bit of dry brushing, which is nice. But like I mentioned about the dry brushing and weathering, is that they put it on but they didn't take it back. They didn't wipe, they didn't dab a little bit off to give it that more weathered look, or a complete weathered look. I should say. But there you go. Alright, so that's it for that piece. So now, let's bring this in and it'll be demonstrating a great functionality, and that's the rolling. That thing rolls beautiful. So here's the trap. And this thing is scanned directly from one of the props. So what we see here is, you know, a very accurate replica scan result of an actual propped trap from the films. And it's done very well. It's got the same weathering along the edges as we can see around it and stuff like that. And, you know, they did very well on it. You know, I think it's an excellent representation of a trap. And, you know, we've got the caution bars up here on the top of the doors. We've got our ion rods here. I'll talk about those in a second. We've got our volume knob here. We've got a resistor here and a cooling plate, things of that sort. And down on the bottom, we've got our wheels. These are die-cast metal. And each wheel is a complete die-cast. So it's a complete casting. And then, of course, we've got that, and then, you know, this piece here, this is that V-hook portion that would be used on, it would be used on the base, and it would also be used on the holster. It's primarily there for the sake of the holster, but the stand is just a little something added extra. So, these plates on the side, this plate here, which goes all the way around, and the one on the opposite side here, these are actual metal. And I'll tap it with my key. You know, that's actual metal. However, this piece where the knob is not. That's plastic. Because it's a lot more muted sound when you tap it with a metal key. Same thing with the other side. So if I tap the metal, see, you can tell that difference. So this is a more muted sound over here. So this portion is plastic, the resistor is plastic, this is metal, this piece right here, this hinge piece. I don't know what that purpose that serves. Anyone who works with these kinds of resistors, you know, although this one in particular is plastic, you know, it's just for looks. But this metal piece, I don't know what that is for. But anyone that knows these resistors knows what that's for. At least they should. That's my thoughts on it. And that's really good. On the front, we have another one of those plates right here. And then we have these 4 knob switches things. Now, this knob, it just rocks back and forth so that you can change the animation of the bar graph on the top, and I'll show you that. This one is so that you can switch the modes between a short animation and a longer presentation animation. These ones here, they are working switches, but they are not connected to anything. This one is a 3-position switch, so it's a 1, 2, 3. And this one is a 2. It's a 2-place rocker. Yeah. So there we go. So those 2 outer switches, they don't go to anything, but they are working switches. They may be useful for something. You have to break it apart to see what the bass is like. I'm not going to bother with that. At least I don't have any motivation to. On the top, we've got the bar graph right here. And it is a working bar graph, and it does have, you know, each individual segment is its own light. So, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like 10 lights. So that's good. And then we've got an LED here, and this will light up. And then you have this here that looks like an LED. That's not. That's an infrared sensor. Because the PKE meter can talk to the trap to sound off ghost sounds. So this knob here is a volume control, and you can just twist it. It's free spinning. The board inside will be able to tell, you know, if you're turning it clockwise, it'll turn it up. If you turn it counterclockwise, it turns it down. on the other side, this is what Hasbro has nicknamed the Spectre Selector. So this is so that you can play different sounds of ghosts. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. The ion rods. Now for Ghostbusters 1, Afterlife, and Frozen Empire, they use the red ones. For Ghostbusters 2, which is what the 2 in the box is basically based off of, it uses silver ones. So, and these just pop out like that. And you'll notice here that here's where they basically click into, clamp onto, right there and there. And you can actually see the little grabber doodads. And then in the center, right here, you see a little extra nub. I'll bring that up here so you can kind of see that. That is actually going to throw a micro switch, which is located in the center. And what that does is that when that switch is depressed by this, it will actually play the sounds from Ghostbusters 1. Now when you have the silver ion rods on here, and these are just pieces of plastic, so that's all that's needed. When those are in place, that switch is not thrown, and it plays Ghostbusters 2 ghost sounds. And, you know, some people have the thought, like, what's going to happen if I only have one in there? In other words, only one of these center switches are thrown. Actually, nothing's going to happen. Because the switch is thrown, it's going to be Ghostbusters 1, regardless of which one it is. So, now, we get Ghostbusters 1, we get Ghostbusters 2. Well, there are Afterlife sounds in there, but I haven't identified exactly where they are. Are they identified on the Spectre Selector? They might be. They might just be random ones that go on out there, stuff like that. I currently have the selector on Slimer from Ghostbusters 1 because I'm a Ghostbusters 1 fan. That is the pinnacle of all of the films. Every single one of them as a whole. Ghostbusters 1 is the one to beat. As the most convincing on anything. Regarding the wheels on the bottom, you know, we've got that. You know, we've got these wheels. These are die cast, and they're great. And we've got that V clamp or V hook. I'll talk about that a little more in a second. But these wheels, if you look, they're extended outward more than they should be based on the wheels of the trap from Ghostbusters 1. They could be brought in probably about 3/4 of a centimeter and be perfect. Whereas on this one here, they're actually out further. Excuse me. And why is that? Well, for the sake of the stand, you know, you need to be able to have enough clearance so that you have the V-hook for it to clamp onto. And also for the holster, which I'll talk about in a minute. And, you know, so that it can actually get on there all right. And also to be able to keep clearance so that it'll glide nice when it's rolled on the floor and such like that. On the far back, which is back here, we've got a switch that if we put it forward, you know, it's a 3-position switch. Forward is on, just straight on. Center is off, and back is on with the rumble motor, which is located in this portion. And then we have a light here. Now, as far as the shape of this lens and everything goes, you know, that's not accurate to the actual prop, but it's red, and so why complain? It works. It's perfectly fine. So, and there's that. And then on the far back, we've got the actual connector receiver portion for the cable. So, on the top of the handle here, there's a switch. So if you pull that back, you are then allowed to slide out the actual trap canister. And there it is. So there's your bar graph. There's your front of the trap. Now, when emptying the trap into the containment unit, this is the portion that gets basically remains behind in the containment unit receiver panel thing of sorts, because the ghost is housed in here when it's caught. So, and then somehow it opens up the trap and retrieves the ghost, sucks it up, and throws it into the tank. So there you go. It's got some molded plastic on the sides to kind of give the idea of that those are vents for some reason, probably for, you know, ectoplasmic smoke or whatever. And these doors are not, they can't be opened with your finger. I mean, they could if you try hard enough, but there's a motor in there that's keeping them shut. Don't go forcing it open or anything like that. You could wear out the motor. And there you go. And then the batteries are located, the battery compartment is right here. So you would, it's got a couple of captive screws, you take those off, you would loosen them, you can take the thing off, and you take 4 AA's, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And the serial number is located right next to it right here. So here it is, I got 42631. So I'm on the lookout for whoever happens to have the PKE meter with 42631, because I've got 42641. So, yeah. And then there's a couple of little teeth on the sides right here and in the back. And then this just basically goes into a little track in here to allow you to slide it back in, like so, and click it in. And then when you have batteries in there and you do that, you'll get a little electric-y kind of noise or whatever, and this will light up and it'll give you the little sound effect. That's pretty cool and everything like that. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll come in and talk about some functionality. Okay, some extra functionality. But first, back at the handle. Yeah, here's the switch to release the trap, but underneath, right here, is a button that does 3 different functions. One is you can, just open up the trap for what they call service mode. You can also pretend the functionality of the pedal by opening and closing the trap for the animation sequences, and also you can use it to throw out an Easter egg, and I'll demonstrate that. But we'll just turn it on without the rumble motor. There we go. I'm going to turn the volume all the way up so that you can hear it. So, here we go. And we can see that the bar graph is animated, and it's going from right to left. Now, right off the bat, that's wrong. It's actually supposed to go left to right. If you go back far enough to Ghostbusters 1, it should go from left to right. It should go this way. It does that randomly too. If you don't do anything with it, ghosts are going to sound off. Just so you know. Now, on the front, we have, the switch to actually rock that bar graph back and forth to change the different animations. I'll turn it on and we'll demonstrate that. So, there it is going from left to right. That's the proper one. Turn it back to the left and it does the Cylon or KIT Night Industries 2000 effect. We get a little bit of a dance. We get that there, which is what turns on when the animation sequence is going. And then it's going from left to right slowly, right to left fast. So that's what that does, and you can see that this LED is lit up and such like that. So let's push the button. So this is the button that's right here, located right here underneath the very front of the handle. It opens up to service mode so you can get inside. There's the screen, which you can actually remove. So here's the screen and you can see the inside. So there is a specially made smoker out there, so you can have ghost smoke in the trap, and of course the sound just stopped because it timed out, which is fine. That will stay open, and yeah, but that smoker is it's expensive. It's over $200, you know, but it fits in the slot perfectly, and I imagine there's other smaller ones that can be used and stuff like that. But in either sense. So if I hit the button, I'll wake it back up. There it is. There's the sound. And if I tap it again, it closes the trap. Now, if I hit it twice, this is one of the animations. I'll bring it a little forward. So we get a little bit of a fade in, fade out, and the sound. It will go, and then it closes up by itself. And there we are. So if we take the other knob in the front, we do that, you hear that sound, it's going to actually change the animation. So if you tap that twice again, this is the other animation. It's the longer animation. So instead of a fade in and out, like a pulse kind of effect, you get this blinking. So I tap the button again, and closes it. So we get the little brrrr, and then this blinks for a little bit. The same thing will happen with the other effect. So I like the other one a little better, so I'm just going to turn it back to that. So it does that. And there we go, get the blink. So shut it off for the moment, just so we don't get any Slimer sounds or whatever like that. When the pedal is hooked up to it, you know, you get that blinking going on. There's a light on the actual pedal that will blink also. It just goes together and such. So that's that. And then the third Easter egg function of that, I'll turn it back on. You press and hold it. You get that ghost sound, and if we watch the bar graph, this is going to start a countdown where all the lights start turning out and turning off until we get down to the bottom, and then we're going to get this blinking, and it's going to give us Morse code. What does the Morse code say? It says, "Hello, world." So, yeah. If you look up... Shut up. So, if you look up "Hello, world," if you do a search for that, you're going to find out where that originated from. It goes way back. This is for the geeks and the nerds in the computer world. That's what I think. But it just says "Hello, world." It has no function. It's just there. It's just an Easter egg. It has nothing to do with Ghostbusters. It has nothing to do with Hasbro. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with you necessarily. It's just fun. It's just there for fun. So now we need to get this thing hooked up to the pedal with the cable. And I'll show you that real quick. Alright, so here I've got the pedal over here, trap over here. So, yeah, nothing's going on with it right now. It's not powered up. I'm about to. So what we're going to do is I'm going to power this up. I'm going to press down the pedal and you'll see what it does. So, there, it's powered up. And then, there it goes. And then when I step on it again, it'll close. And then you'll notice right there, it's blinking on there. So there we go. So there's your functionality with the pedal. So there's that. Yeah. That completes that portion, and now we'll talk about the extra that came along with it for getting a stretch goal, and that's the holster. All right, here's the holster. And, you know, you might notice that it's pretty solid. Well, yeah, that's because that is, I mean, it could be aluminum, but it's got the weight of steel. It's really, really rigid. It's about 1.5 millimeters thick, about that. It's got these rivets right there, boom, 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 and these brackets for this strap. And on the other side, on the front of it, you know, it's got the signature pleather for Hasbro. It's like, all right, cool. All right, it'd be better if it was real leather, but you know, that's neither here nor there. And then, of course, we've got this strap. It's held on with these snaps, which is, you know, it's got a nice strong grip on it, and they glide on really nice. And here's that receiver piece of V-hook and stuff like that, so that when the trap is on it, it's not going to fall off or anything like that. And this is good. So, and it's got the gaps here so that you can put your belt through there, and they are wide enough. At least they should be. A little bit of dust, so I'll get rid of that. So they are wide enough to get a belt through there, or they should be. And yeah, and this is a very nice piece of hardware to go along with it. So especially for the cosplayers, anyone with a jumpsuit. I've got a jumpsuit / flight suit, stuff like that. And I do plan on wearing this at Halloween. If folks are going to be walking around a whole lot, they're going to want to utilize this, that's for sure. So I'm glad that's there. And that's actually steel, so that's good, everything like that. Now the question is, do we necessarily need to have the V-clip on here and on the trap? And I'm going to say no. On the circumstances, I'm like, you know, if you're not going to be walking around a lot or anything like that, do you necessarily need this piece on here? No, you typically would not need it. And that it's removable by undoing these screws on the back. So, and you can also undo the screws on the stand for it. And if I slide that over, bring it over, you can see that it's in the stand right now. And if I pull it off, there's that piece right there. And, you know, that's just there to help keep it in. But like I was saying, is it absolutely necessary to have that V-clip on there, or that V-hook? Do you absolutely need to have the V-hook on there? Big picture, no. From a practicality standpoint, maybe so. So, me, I don't really have any need to remove it, so I'm not going to bother. And when I do have it on display, you know, for display purposes, I might remove it for that. You know, will I actually have it on here when I'm wearing it and walking around with it? No, not when I'm walking around with it. I might demonstrate it because this strap goes underneath the trap, and I'll actually somewhat demonstrate this a little bit if I can do this without hindering the view all that much. Yes, excuse me. So we get that. We get it on the hook, and there it is on the hook. And you can see it there and everything like that. Now, the strap comes around like so and snaps on. So there's a strap, and you can see that it goes, don't get to turn around, you can see it comes down and it catches the handle so that it just doesn't fly off. So it just doesn't, you know, fly down. I can't get closer, but you know, so it's like if you're just demonstrating it and standing and you don't necessarily want that V-hook there, you don't have to have the V-hook. This will hold it just fine. But I don't recommend going around and walking around and everything like that, because it would be easy just to take this thing off and run away with it and steal it. Keep it on the V-hook. So there we go. But this piece is a great piece. I'm glad I have that, and that we got that as a stretch goal. Now, another reason why I'm talking about the V-clip like this is because it juts out from underneath very far. So, as we can tell that in a couple of different shots, namely in Ghostbusters 1, when this thing is rolled out, you don't see this because it's not there. You could remove this to restore that look. That's about it. So, there we are. But I do like these are nice and smooth. The guys at Hasbro would say, "Oh, rolls like butter." It rolls nice and smooth. It's a very nice roll. Nice sound. No clickety clack. No nothing. The alignment is fabulous on it. And there we are. So, I think that's everything. Oh yes, and one last thing that I just thought of was these. These are imitation pneumatic covers. So I'll use the pedal to demonstrate this. Here's the connection point for the cable. You know, in the Ghostbusters universe, these are supposed to be pneumatic. As you might be able to see here, it might be too dark, but you know, that's kind of like a bellows kind of effect. So that would blow air down a pneumatic tube to the trap to open it up and close it up. But because of the way things have to operate, it has to be electric. That's where we have that cable, the way that it's made. If you want that actual pneumatic kind of look, that's where these come in play. And they also act as dust covers. So we just take it, we just push it onto the end, and what do you know? It's a pneumatic. Isn't that kind of cool? Alright, I'm back, and you can see I've got my phone lamp over there. It's on. I turned it on to try to get a little more light under here, and I also threw my one in front of the computers, or behind the computers, just to try to throw a little extra light and stuff like that. But that basically concludes this review with one extra note. My grades. Well, on the scale of 1 to 10, it's a 9. A letter grades from A to E/F, stuff like that. I'd say it's an A-. Now, why? Well, it is very accurate. They've done a really good job with the construction of this thing. I really don't have any major complaints with this thing, with the exception of one. On the handle, this button underside, when people go to grab this thing, they're going to grab all the way forward and lift it like this. And when you do that, and the power happens to be on, you're going to be tripping one of those three functions. One, if not two of them, and so it's a bad placement for that button. So that button shouldn't be underneath that there. It should be someplace else. A perfectly acceptable spot would be like on the tip, perhaps? Maybe even the far back, or as a square button just off to the side on top of the housing right there. Perfectly acceptable. It'd be fine. There would not be any complaints. And if people complain about not being accurate, well, that's their problem. I think it's a perfectly fine spot to get it out from underneath that spot, because that's a trigger point. So I'll turn it on, and I'm all done with it. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to grab on there because that's where all the lifting force is coming from. Oh, it's opened. That's a bad spot. It's not all that great. So do that. Slide that back on. Right there. And there we go. As far as the weathering goes, it was like I mentioned in the PKE meter. They put it on, but they didn't bring it back to give it that full weathering kind of look. It's all right. And with both of these items, it's like they look like they've been power washed. Granted, the brand new construction, of course they're going to look like they're really clean and everything like that. You know, but there's like no dust, no grime, no nothing like that. You know, the weather kind of thing. Am I going to do it? No. I don't want to go through that effort. Can I do it? Yeah. But, you know, am I going to? No. You know, this piece here, this is like for the pedal, this is the best part of it. This fake relay. This thing is beautifully put together, and you know, it's basically, it looks like an actual relay, because the relay that this is based off of is the same thing, but is an actual relay. This one is just a fake thing, just for the look. And they did a magnificent job of designing and manufacturing this to duplicate the original. Am I going to put an original on here? No, this is plenty. Plus, on the original, it's got a little more height, so it wouldn't be right here. It would be double, about double the height. So there we go. And am I going to move it to here to match up with Afterlife? No, actually I'm not. I like it on this setup. So I'm going to do that there. So there we go. That's everything. So that is the Ghost Trap, and that concludes the PKE meter and Ghost Trap honest reviews. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I don't have my cup with me, so I'll give you my thanks for coming along. Great way to end the year and bring in the new one. And I hope everyone has a pleasant, fun, safe holiday. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Skál.